For over 50 years, the conflict between Israel and Palestine has been defined by a stark power imbalance, but recent events have written a new, unexpected chapter. For the first time in decades, we are witnessing a scenario that many thought was impossible. Israel is being forced into a retreat. This isn't just a tactical withdrawal, it's a moment that challenges decades of established doctrine. Across the Muslim world, many are celebrating this as a definitive victory, but the reality, as always, is far more complex. It's a story woven from shifting geopolitics, unintended consequences, and the raw, unyielding will of a people. Tonight, we will unravel the threads of this transformation. We will look at the geopolitical chessboard, the actors pulling the strings, and what this forced retreat means for the future of Gaza, Israel, and the entire Middle East. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, set forth two clear, ambitious goals at the onset of this recent escalation: the complete destruction of Hamas's military capabilities, and the safe return of all Israeli hostages. But on the ground, a different story is unfolding. The evidence suggests that Hamas has not been destroyed. In fact, its ability to force a negotiated ceasefire and the Israeli withdrawal indicates a significant level of resilience. This is the central paradox. The stated objective of annihilation has clashed with the reality of a protracted, asymmetric conflict. Furthermore, the release of hostages did not happen through unconditional surrender, but through a difficult, negotiated prisoner exchange. For each Israeli hostage released, Israel agreed to release a significantly larger number of Palestinian prisoners. This multi-phase truce, particularly its first stage, was a critical milestone. It demonstrated that negotiation, not outright military victory, was the only viable path forward. This has led to a profound realization. Israel is deeply reluctant to engage in another large-scale ground war in Gaza under these conditions. While they have done so in the past, the calculus has changed. The cost, both in international standing and military casualties, is now deemed too high. So, what forced this change in calculus? The answer lies in a dramatic shift in the geopolitical landscape. For decades, Israel could rely on the unequivocal diplomatic and military support of the United States. But that foundation is showing cracks. The Palestinian cause is no longer isolated. It now enjoys the robust support of powerful regional actors. Turkey, Qatar, and even Egypt are playing pivotal roles, applying diplomatic and economic pressure. This isn't just rhetorical support, it's a tangible realignment of influence. The United States' dominance in the Middle East is waning. This region is no longer its uncontested domain. We are seeing the rise of a multipolar order, with nations like Russia and Turkey asserting their own spheres of influence. Even the prospect of a deal between Iran and Israel, which seemed unthinkable not long ago, was on the table, further complicating the strategic picture. The core of Israel's military and political control has been underwritten for over a decade by American and European support. But as that support becomes more conditional and that control weakens, Israel finds itself increasingly isolated. The retreat we are witnessing is not just from Gaza's borders, it is from a position of unquestioned regional hegemony. We must pause here and acknowledge the staggering human cost that preceded this retreat. The numbers are more than statistics, they represent a profound human tragedy. After October, Israel received over $40 billion in U.S. military aid. 1.9 million Palestinians were displaced from their homes. 270 journalists were killed. 790 doctors and nurses were attacked, with many killed. A total of 186,000 people have been killed, directly or indirectly, in these 2 years. While the US and Europe provided humanitarian aid, they failed to meaningfully restrain Israel's military campaign. This highlights a grim hypocrisy, and into this vacuum steps the figure of Donald Trump. His influence is a crucial subplot. He has repeatedly warned Netanyahu, and his motivations are a mix of political branding and personal interest. Trump wants to be seen as the global dealmaker, the one who can solve problems that stumped his predecessors. The Israeli-Palestinian issue? Previous presidents failed. I will succeed. His close affinity partner, Jared Kushner, who manages Trump's funds and political capital, is a key player. Questions swirl about the $2 billion in investments Kushner secured from the Saudi-led fund. Where is this money flowing? Understanding these financial pipelines is key to understanding the political pressures being applied behind the scenes. Turkey has even proposed Hamas for the Nobel Peace Prize, a suggestion the US quickly dismissed. This illustrates how the very definition of peacemaker and terrorist is being violently contested. So, What comes next? The reconstruction of Gaza will begin, primarily funded by the Arab world. This rebuilding is not just about bricks and mortar, it's a strategic project that will further reduce American influence in the Middle East. For this new future to have a chance, political change within Israel is essential. Hardline figures like Ben Gvir and Netanyahu himself, with their expansionist ideologies, must be removed from power, much like the international community once sought to isolate Syria's Bashar al-Assad. And this brings us to the most challenging and perhaps most necessary concept: radical forgiveness. I choose to forgive Hamas for the murder of my parents, because that is what humanity at its highest calling requires. Forgiveness, reconciliation, justice, and peace are not sequential, they must be pursued simultaneously. For decades, Israeli society viewed Gaza as a black hole, a problem to be managed, not a people to be engaged with. But history shows that not all Jews are anti-Muslim. A significant portion of the Jewish population historically lived peacefully in Muslim lands. Steps like returning the Golan Heights to Syria would be a powerful gesture toward justice. The image of an Israeli tank retreating from Gaza is more than a military maneuver. For Palestinians, it is a symbol they have not seen in 70 years, a symbol of resistance yielding tangible results, a moment they perceive not as a truce, but as a victory. This forced retreat marks the end of an era. It proves that unipolar American dominance in the Middle East is over. It proves that absolute military solutions to deeply political and human problems are illusory. The sands have shifted. The road ahead is fraught with difficulty. Reconstruction, political reconciliation, and the hard work of building trust will take generations. But the first, most difficult step has been taken. A retreat forced by resilience, by shifting alliances, and by the undeniable power of a people's will to be free. The world is watching. The next chapter is now being written.